Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. My name is Brent West. Yes, I am still with Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. I just was gone last week. Jack Lord beside over here, Rodney West down below right there with the camera that does. He's having some difficulties, technical difficulties on this particular evening. Rodney. Rodney, did you watch Raw Monday night? Hello? Is this thing on? You can't hear? You can't hear us? Let's say here, here's our notes. Raw for Rodney. Well, Rodney, maybe come in and come out. Jack will start with SmackDown. Maybe you can, maybe he can go in and out and come back. All right, Jack, did you watch SmackDown Friday night?
Wait a minute, I might have figured it out.
Okay.
Hold the line, please. Continue. Talk amongst yourselves. Go ahead.
Well,
Okay.
that's what we're doing. You know?
I figured it out. Hold on.
Okay. SmackDown. We opened with Roman Reigns. Recap of their big he and Big E's big Survivor Series match. Then we go to McIntyre and Hardy versus Corbin and Moss, and that was as exciting as you would think it would be.
Yeah, I've seen that match. I didn't think it was the worst match I've ever seen, but
Yeah, just the guys are actually very good. All four of them, very good. I just the Happy Corbin and the Madcap Moss thing is just it kills my soul.
Well, now is that what was that guy's name that used to wrestle? Savio Vega. It kind of reminds me of Savio Vega. That Happy whatever it is. I can't stand that Corbin guy anyway. But that's a different story. All right, go ahead, Jack.
And then we had the in-ring debut of Ridge Holland, who was a big-time rugby player in England, against Cesaro. Of course, Sheamus was in Ridge Holland's corner. And I actually thought this was just going to be another killing of Cesaro, because they never seem to really they'll push him and then they'll just beat him down again. But he went over, surprisingly. So that
I
was
saw that.
It was a good match, I thought. Then we had the little promo interview segment with Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce with McIntyre. Then we go to Rick Boogs, who introed, and now the guy's a great guitar player.
Hey, that's Van Hammer number 2, isn't it?
It is. It is. Actually, the guy is pretty good. I don't care much for the gimmick, but he's pretty good talent in the ring. Of course, he played Nakamura out, and for whatever reason, then the match was his match, not Nakamura's. But anyway, Boogs and Angel went at it. Alberto, I think that's his name, Carrero, whatever. Oh, they lost their last names. I'm sorry. So they
just have first names now.
Yep. Anyway, Angel beat him. Charlotte Flair interview with Tony Storm. And of course, with all of the tables set up with Thanksgiving trimmings, you knew that it was coming. Somebody was going to get a a pie in the face. And poor Tony Storm received that.
Yeah, she received 2.
Twice.
Yeah. She didn't know. I don't think I think she was shocked about that, because didn't seem like she even knew what to do. She was just looking like, what am I supposed to do with this? I got slammed in the face with a couple of pies.
Yeah.
And Charlotte Flair at least sampled some of it on the way to the dressing room, so that's good.
And then we had Naomi and Sasha Banks against Shayna Baszler and Natalya, with Naomi and Sasha Banks picking up the win there. It was actually probably my favorite match of the whole card.
Yeah, that was a good match.
And then you had the Black Friday Invitational Battle Royal. Never miss a gimmick if you can, unless it's this one, and then you should have passed it by. So anyway, we get down to, I say, who all was in that? Sami Zayn, Viking Raiders, or that, I don't remember their names, 1 and 2. I loved them in NXT. Main roster, don't know what to do with. Drew Gulak, who I like Drew. Ricochet, Ridge Holland, Angel, Cesaro, Happy Corbin, Madcap Moss. Let the hilarity ensue. Sheamus, Humberto, Rick Boogs, Jeff Hardy, Mansoor, and everyone's favorite, Shanky. And Mace. Who, you ask? Mace, I say. Mace. Mace.
So nobody has any last names anymore there.
Apparently not, except for Sammy. And that's coming, I'm pretty sure. But it gets down to Jeff Hardy. We think Jeff Hardy's won, and then come to find out Sami Zayn has been hiding out outside the ring, and he sneaks in, dumps Hardy over the top rope, and wins the Battle Royal. And then the announcement is made that Brock Lesnar is coming back this Friday.
I actually thought he was coming back on December 10th. Did they change that to an earlier date?
I believe so. I hadn't heard any details, but I'm sure with ratings going down. Of course, ratings were down for everybody because of the holiday weekend. So, not throwing shade here towards anybody, but that's probably a call from Fox saying, let's get him back on here because we need to shoot these back up.
Well, that was SmackDown results. I give it a 3. If I was going to give it a scale from 1 to 10, I give it a 3. Rodney, can you hear us now?
Yes, and I wished I couldn't have after hearing all that.
Did you watch SmackDown?
I actually did, and let me just say this, compared to Raw, which next time, if I can opt for the swift kick to the groin, I will opt for the swift kick to the groin.
Well, talking about that, let's go ahead and talk about.
No, I want to say something before we leave on this point.
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
SmackDown. SmackDown left you wanting to see what's going to happen next week. I cannot say the same for the this debacle that we're about to talk about. We begin the program from Long Island, New York. Decent crowd. The Three Stooges are out there doing the commentator. They were about as funny as a splinter. Opening with Seth Rollins. Imagine that. And he's clown show that he comes out. And of course, the big match he announces is on first day, the next big event for the WWE. He will be facing Big E for the WWE Championship. Match, then of course, it evolves into a match with Finn Balor, which we watch him lose the last week on the show, and he does much of the same thing again this week, losing yet again. Huge surprise, being that he just announced he was going to be on the main event in the next pay-per-view. Just tremendous. Then we have the next comedy routine between Vince and Austin Theory. Now, Vince has taken Theory under his wing so he can teach him about proper things. And in this particular part of this program, Vince tells him that if he ever steals anything from him again, that he will kill him. I think good death threats on television always good for spurting the ratings, I must say. Then
no, that's just the ratings that he was going to kill. Go ahead.
Then we have a contract signing. Another surprise on television yet again with Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. They signed the match for the big event. I think that's coming up on next week's edition of Raw for the Women's Championship, Raw's Women's Championship. And then that evolves into a 10-woman tag team match, which comes on later on in the program. Then we have match number 2, another surprise match. We've never seen it on Raw before. Those ratings should have been going right through the roof as the Raw Tag Team Championship was on the line as Randy Orton Jr. and Riddle faced Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. just absolutely electrifying.
Can I
People
ask y'all a
all
question?
over. Yes, go ahead.
Did this not happen last week that they just flat out beat? Didn't they just? I mean, didn't what his name is Riddle? Did he just flat out beat one of them guys? So why would they?
What week haven't they beat them? I mean, they have beat them over and over again. And you would think that if you've been beaten that many times, you would come up with a strategy that might could win. But no, it was just this. All you need to do is watch the last tag match that they had, and you would have seen the exact same thing that you just were watching.
That's what I thought.
It's boring, absolutely boring. Then we have an interview with Rollins again. Just once again, just a magnetic personality that just keeps bringing in the ratings. So much so that now, Kevin Owens has now tried to pull a fast one by trying to get himself in the main event that he just announced in a triple threat match. And those, ladies and gentlemen, everybody just loves those. Everybody just waits to see, well, maybe the next. I think we need to add a fourth one. Why not? Why not a fifth one? Why not just have a battle royal for the WWE Championship? Anyway, so they have their conversation. Then Rollins confronts Adam Pearce and Cruella DeVille, and comes out there and says, "Is it true?" And of course, he said, "Well, no, it's not true." And then, of course, Cruella walks in and he says, he thinks that if he wins this match tonight, or Seth Rollins says if Owens wins the match, he's going to be added to the match. And she said, "Well, that sounds like a good idea." Tremendous acting. I mean, just stellar. Just stellar. Then they have an interview.
And the John Cena Award goes to.
That is correct. And then we have the interview with Edge. Again, he can't believe he has this job. And honestly, I can't either. In his conversation, then the Miz and the Miz's come out. And we get to see him back, and we have a montage of him being back on Dancing with the Stars, which most of us wish he was still there. We hope for him. We did call in. We did vote for him repeatedly to try to stay on there. Of course, then they try to go into a match there, and then the Miz decides, no, we'll not do it here. And then he walks out.
I have to admit, though, I like their outfits.
Their outfits were stellar.
Yeah,
absolutely stellar. And when they're out in the discotheques that night in Long Island, they should be very popular. Then an interview with AJ Styles, who's now pretending, I think, to be blind. Yes, AJ Styles. And it's his name, Osmosis? Omos. Omos, yes. He's awesome. I wish we could see more of him. But instead, we're going to have to watch him be a stooge to AJ for quite a little bit longer. But AJ is blinded by the fire extinguisher from last week. Easy for me to say. Then we go with match number 3. This is the third match. We're only into 45 minutes into the show now at this point. Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. Once again, a match we've never seen before on there. Just once again, riveting. Fantastic. AJ Styles is at ringside. He's got his glasses. He's being led to the ring. And his whole, of course, the whole ploy was as he was playing like he was blind to try to mess the Street Profits out of their match. Of course, Street Profits end up winning again. Just a huge surprise in that one. Vince and Austin Theory come back again with another edition of Let Me Teach You a Few Things. Interview with Kevin Owens and Rollins again.
The unexpected. Yes, that's what it's all about.
Yes, and so far, there has been nothing that we haven't expected so far. Here on Monday Night Raw. So, next matchup, we have Kevin Owens and Rollins. They're going through their thing again, and blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, somebody really likes Seth Rollins there. He just seems to be on every segment. I'm not sure what's going on there with him, but somebody believes in him. So much so, he's got to share the main event with somebody else. All right, match number 4 is United States Championship on the line. Damon Priest defending against Apollo Crews. I thought would have been a decent match, I think. I had to finally stop because I don't know who Commander was. I don't know if they changed his name somewhere down the line. And I haven't listened to the show in months. And I find that it's better when you don't listen to the sound, especially after listening to the
Commander Aziz.
Commander Aziz. Yes, and we know why he's called Z's for. Putting people to sleep all over the place. He gets ejected through the
I have
match.
to say something about this match.
Go ahead.
Has this guy been trained?
You're talking about Damian Priest?
No, Damian Priest. I'm all right with Damian Priest. I'm talking about this Commander dude.
He was involved with the After Dark thing that Shane had, the behind the scenes. He was majorly involved in that.
Well, did you see when he went to swing out whatever he had in his hand, how bad that looked?
Well, some people can't swing things.
Well, I'm just going to be honest here. I mean, at least the guy's consistent. I mean, nothing he does is good, so we're not surprised.
Anyway, of course, in the end, he gets ejected. The Commander gets ejected. Damian Priest wins again. No surprise. Then we have Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, or Corella, as I like to call her, and Seth Rollins yet again. Match number 4, we have the Mysterios in a very uncharacteristic match that they should have against Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. They actually win in that one. It was quite amazing. Of course, that's the first time we've seen them win in quite some time. 10-woman tag team match, and they actually called it a match. That was quite refreshing. Liv team versus Becky team. It's Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Nick Asa or ASA, whatever they want to call her. Dana Brooks against Becky Lynch's team, which of course is Becky Lynch, Queens, Zelina, Carmella, Tamina, and the Doo-Doo Drop. So this.
Hey, wait! I got to ask the question. I've been watching this show for a while. The last time I saw Doo-Doo Drop, I saw her,
yes, Doo-Doo Drop.
She was a baby face, wasn't she?
She was, and they have plugged her into the plans they had for Nia Jax.
Okay, all right. I just wondered because I was much just saying I have no clue what's going on here. I thought she was a good guy. Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead. Doo-Doo Drop. So
the commentary for this match is I had to stop it because some of those people I did not know who they were because I only saw the pictures and I haven't seen what their names were, and then I got to hear again that stellar commentary. Let's just say Gordon Soley, they are not. Okay.
Truly, Tony Schiavone makes them sound, all them commentators sound horrible.
I'm telling you, this routine, Corey Graves, he rakes on every nerve that I have. The man who looks like that all he needs is needs a German soldier's outfit to go out there and speak German, and he's already on his way. It'd probably be more entertaining. That just, it kills me. And I had to turn it off. It was just that I'm talking about the sound, and it's better with the sound. Without the sound, we'll talk about why that is.
Match was pretty good though.
It was decent. Was actually decent. Morgan wins over Tamina in that one. Then we go back with Vince and Austin Theory yet again. We have a Lashley video, which I don't know if you caught who was in that video. Did you catch who was in the video?
No.
Just very briefly. He's that major star over there. Over at AEW. Just brilliant. What is his name? Daniel Bennington or whatever his name is this week.
Brian Danielson.
Daniel Bryanson, exactly. And he was in that they showed him being put in the old full Nelson, the hurt locker, whatever they call it over there. It was really, really good video. Then we have an interview with Big E, who's the WWE champion. And then we have an interview with the Street Profits. They were hockey merch. It was stellar. Public Enemy should be sending them some royalties. I think they need to send them some royalties, should I say? Then the last, of course, is Vince and Austin Theory. They said, of course, his whole thing is to expect the unexpected, which we were not surprised by anything so far. And then, of course, Vince slaps him in the face, and he said, "Some people just never learn."
Can I ask y'all a question?
Go ahead.
Do you think Big Brother is going to sue Vince by using those expect the unexpected? Because that's what Big Brother says. Could happen. Or one of them people might be on Big Brother because they are going to have a celebrity Big Brother. So maybe maybe Vince is going to go in there.
It's probably Austin Theory.
Yes.
He's probably going there because he would be in that age range, I would think. Match number 6 out of 3 hours. The 6th match, amazing. It's for the it's the WWE champion non-title match. Big E against Kevin Owens. If Owens wins, he's going to be added to that big match at first day. Seth Rollins comes at ringside. Again, Total shocker there. In the end, Kevin Owens goats Seth Rollins into coming in the ring. And, of course, caused a disqualification. And Kevin Owens wins the match by disqualification. That way, he's in the three-way match, triple threat match for the WWE Championship at First Day. Absolutely electrifying. The difference, again, between SmackDown, they left you wanting to tune in. Next week, Raw says, well, just watch last week's show. You'll see basically the same thing. It's been that way a long time.
I give it a 2. Just for the girls' match. Jack?
I will give it a 3, but only because I have the Black Friday deal with Hulu for 99 cents a month, and I watch the abbreviated hour-and-a-half version of the 3-hour show. It is much better when you don't see as much of it.
Wow. I honestly, I have not seen it in slow, at regular speed in quite some time. And what I saw, they might want to speed that up a little bit because there was some misses that you could see way off. Well,
my favorite part was when the news came on when it went on.
Now it's time to talk about NXT 2.0. Folks, I'm not for sure, but this is amateur hour or 2 hours, I guess. My goodness gracious, this show is horrible. It started out. This show started out. The opening came on, and then there was some dude. I don't even know who he was. Never even seen the guy. Some guy named Waller. What was his name? Do y'all know? Something Waller. See, nobody knows who he is. All right. So he gets on there, and instead, what I've been told, now I was told this, that he has been on the show, and he was a babyface up to this point, at least whatever they consider a babyface, there. And he started talking about The Rock and all. He did like an independent outlaw show would do. He started healing on stuff, so they know that he was the heel. Well, I don't know. Maybe put a heel against him. That's actually, people know that. So it gets over. He goes against Thompson, Chokio. What's that guy's name? Thompson, whatever his name is. Match was decent.
Do like The Rock says. It doesn't matter what his name is.
I'm going to be honest with you. This match, too much in it, too much comedy. It just lost it from her. Then they get this guy named Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson. I didn't even know who they were. Now they're having a hair versus hair match. They cut this Cameron Grimes. Looked like I don't know who these two guys are, but again, did not look good to me. Did not make any sense to me. And at some point during a match, and I can't remember what match it is, this Grayson Waller and L.A. Knight get in a fight with each other. I don't know why. I don't know that they even showed why they might have got in a fight with each other. They had a girls' match that I frontward stood up. It looked bad at the beginning, so I just frontward stood up. It was some girl named Carter and a Hartwell. I just got rid of it. Santos.
I've never asked the question, and because I've never seen the show. How long in is NXT?
It's 2 hours, isn't it?
2 hours.
Okay.
Santos Escobar went against Malak Blade. These names are too hard to say, folks. Was Dusty Rhodes hard to say? Mr. Wrestling too hard to say? Tommy Rich hard to say? They changed Steve O's name from Steve Oskanowski to Steve O because that was too hard to pronounce. That match was horrible too. I frontwards it up because it was getting bad. Mandy Rose and Cora Jade. That match was horrible. I'm sorry.
Now, how did Mandy Rose get demoted to NXT? Do we know? Because she was on Raw last time I remember seeing her.
I don't know, but now I want to tell you. Now I will tell you that the two C's there, they did win the match against Hartwell and however you say these names. These names are horrible to say. Santos won the match. Mandy Rose won her match against Cora Jade. That Cora Jade, I don't know. I think she's the equivalent of a job girl. I'm guessing because she was horrible. Then there's a guy. Jack, have you seen these guys called the Diamond Mine?
Yes.
What in the world is that all about? These are all bad wrestlers. And then that Ivy Nile versus Walusa Leon. Oh my goodness. That was horrible. This match was pretty good. The Grizzly Young Veterans against Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen, which I think Brooks Jensen is Bull Buchanan's son.
Yeah, Ben Buchanan.
Pretty good match. Then the NXT North American Championship match with Carmelo Hayes and Johnny Gargano and Pete Dunne. Pretty decent match. But the afterbirth of that and the end of that, this was horrible. Made no sense whatsoever. I have to say, NXT used to be better than this. Am I correct about this, Jack?
Well, you're going to have to look far and wide to find somebody that loved NXT more than I did. I thought it was fantastic when Triple H was in control. I thought it was the best wrestling product of today's era on the air. But when he had that heart attack, when they made all those changes and he's not there anymore, it has become almost a parody of itself. Everything that made it so unique and different and better, they stripped away. They fired the people, the veteran guys who were there that were leading and teaching all these young guys. And a lot of these other veteran guys are looking at getting, cut before too long too. I'll be surprised if once Tommaso Ciampa, who I think is one of the best in the industry today, when he drops that title to Braun Breaker, because obviously the Steiner name was a little too hard for Vince to say. But I think they're going to get rid of him too, because he has no desire to go to the main roster. And I understand that, because a guy like him with his skills is just going to be lost because he's not a big guy. So they're not going to know what to do with it. Gargano just signed an extension to get him past this pay-per-view that's coming up this coming Sunday. And so far they've been throwing money at him and some great offers from what I understand, and he's not signing. So, and then his wife's contract's up sometime next year. So, the core purpose was having those veteran guys leading those young guys and teaching them what to do. Well, when you get rid of all those guys, who's teaching?
That show was bad. That show was bad. They only had one match, and that was the Young Grizzlies. And I don't even know who them guys were. But that was the only match that was worth anything. And it's like, no wonder they don't have ratings. I mean, you don't know anybody on the show, and they don't do. It makes no sense. The show makes no sense. One time the guy's a babyface, the next week he's a heel, and the next week he's a babyface. It makes no sense. The show has no continuous flow whatsoever. Rodney, did you watch this NXT program?
I did not.
Well, you didn't miss nothing.
I watched the SmackDown, and which was a decent show, I thought, and the Raw was just the same old.
I give this show a -10. That's
Whoa,
how bad this show was.
So you're saying it would have been better off if they didn't even play?
Well, 500,000 people enjoy it, but I don't know how.
Well, I will say I'll agree with you that tag match and that main event were the only good things that happened on that entire show. Because I fast forwarded through everything else. I just couldn't. I didn't know anybody. I just had to get through to them, and once I got to those matches, it was okay. But they do not hook me for anything else.
Question: Sean Smith says it's developmental. Should it look developmental though?
No, it should not look developmental.
It should look very polished. And the fact of the matter is, that's the only show that they do all week, right? So there's no reason why everything should not be polished when they go out there. They should have been working on the show starting on Wednesday. So by next Tuesday, it should be just flawless.
Well, no, but it's not. Those people, I don't know who's training them. I really don't.
If they're going to make it a developmental and show it the way they're showing it, then they need to take it off TV and stick it on YouTube.
Yeah, I agree. That's just horrible. All right, folks, now it's time to talk about AEW Dynamite, all modern day wrestling. AEW Dynamite. All right, guys, Rodney, did you watch Dynamite?
What network is that on?
I'm not for sure. Is it
For now, TNT.
It is still on TNT. I wasn't for sure.
What station is that?
The show started out with CM Punk and an interview with MJF. All right. Everybody's giving it praises. It's hard for me to praise something that it was all WWE references during the whole interview. How can you distinguish yourself different from WWE if all you're doing is using WWE references? And it's all inside stuff. The only people who know it are the people. So you don't have any casual wrestling. They don't know what you're talking about because they hadn't been watching it, so they don't know what it means. The people got with it. The ones that sitting there in that building, they respond to it. But as we always said, it's not the people in the building that you're going to have to worry about. It's going to be eventually when those 900,000 drop down to 500,000 because they don't even know what they're talking about. Not everybody sits on the internet and reads all the dirt. Not everybody does it, so they don't understand it. So it doesn't get over to them because they don't know what it means.
It's amazing. AEW, the only way they can get any kind of publicity whatsoever if it mentions WWE. That's the only time they get it. There's not really a match that that media picks up on and say, "Oh, well, this is a great match." I haven't seen one so far. I haven't seen one star yet that they can focus on and say, "Well, without WWF reference or WWE reference, that anybody pays any attention."
I mean, they did it.
But that is going to be their downfall, because when you're unable to produce your own stuff and you have to depend on knocking WWE or talking about WWE, making references,
they don't even knock.
You're not going to make it. You're not going to go to that next level. You got to be focusing when you've got attention of the media. You need to be focused on your product, not somebody else's.
Well, the thing is, they both did a great job. I'm not discrediting what good job they did in the segment.
Right.
But I do say you've got to quit references in WWE. They referenced even The Miz in this thing. Why would you do that? What purpose does that serve but make people want to see The Miz? Makes no sense to me. Jack, what did you think about it?
I saw this, and we rail about Seth Rollins doing 15-minute interviews, and I think Punk and MJF had this like hold my beer because we're going 22 minutes, and that's what they did, 22 minutes. And I agree with everything that y'all said. And the funniest part was they got the little pops from it like they were looking for. But the biggest pop that I heard was when Edge referenced their reference on Raw Monday night, where he was talking to The Miz and said, you're living in their head rent free.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to call any names.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. I agree. If they don't concentrate on their product and get WWE out of their minds, even Miro, who I love Miro, I think he's fantastic. But he made a statement the other day that he was tired of being referred to as an ex-WWE wrestler. Well, hey, if you don't want to be referred to as an ex-WWE wrestler, you shouldn't have went.
Yeah.
Because that is the pinnacle right now, whether you like it or not. That's what people recognize you from. AEW wouldn't have pushed him if he didn't have that WWE background before him.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's just the way. That's just the simple truth.
You've just hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you do not have a WWE, Mr. Khan you don't have his attention. You do not have his attention.
CM Punk then went against QT Marshall. It was a decent match. It wasn't a spectacular match. CM Punk won that match. And then the Gun Club, which I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you, old Mr. Gunn there, he is in shape. And he's got to be 50 years old or older. Am I correct about this?
Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn.
Billy Gunn.
Yep.
He looked tremendous.
Yep.
Went against Bear Country. Have no clue who that is. Sting and Darby Allin came out. I still I don't know why they came out. Did something happen I didn't know?
They're setting up a storyline with Darby Allin and Billy Gunn.
All right. What? Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I certainly hope they don't have them wrestle each other, because that man is huge. And oh no, that's
somebody just said Billy Gunn is a giant in AEW, and he really is. He's so much bigger than everybody else.
Oh, he is. Then they had the TBS Championship Tournament quarterfinals match. Thunder Rosa against Jamie Hayter. I kind of enjoyed this match.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
I think Thunder Rosa is one of the best women in the business today.
Yeah, I think that I enjoyed the match. I wish all these people would quit going outside the ring, though. For goodness gracious, stay in the ring. Figure out some stuff to do inside the ring. Colt Cabana, then went against Bryan Danielson.
They can tune into Vince's show then. They might be able to figure out what they can do outside the ring, maybe something new. Okay, never mind.
Colt Cabana went against Bryan Danielson. I loved the match. Thought it was a great match.
Yeah.
But again, folks, you just did CM Punk and MJF and did turn back around and did the same exact thing with Bryan Danielson. And they did a great job. It was spectacular, but it was just done at the beginning of the show. They did the same exact thing. Am I wrong here, Jack? Did you see this?
I saw it. The ongoing story with that is that he's Danielson is now a heel, even though he cuts interviews and says he's not a heel. He is a heel, and he is one by one taking out the Dark Order. And yes,
oh, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one. And here's the thing. There's a lot of good talent in that Dark Order, but they just seem to mostly use them for a comedy effect, which I think is sad because they get a great reaction. Why aren't you pushing those guys?
Yeah. I thought it was a magnificent segment, but I thought you just done something similar at the beginning.
Yep.
And you might wanted to wait to Dynamite or something. Not Dynamite. What's the other one to do? Rampage, maybe to do this thing, so you wouldn't doing the same thing. And now get you again. Who's the two big stars? WWE wrestlers: Bryan Danielson, CM Punk. And people can say whatever they want to. The fan base he's got is from WWE. It is not from anywhere. It certainly ain't from the UFC. It certainly ain't from that. He got beat. I think he only went once. He got beat up one time, and he said, "Well, I don't think I'll do this anymore. This ain't like the WWE." And then they had a 22-man tag team match. They had Cody Rhodes in the Death Triangle. I don't know, against Andrade, Malachi, and FTR. I enjoyed the match. They did way too much in the match, but I enjoyed it. I was entertained by it. But way too much stuff. What are they going to do next week? I mean, if you give everybody,
if you're watching WWE Raw
on the exact day of that he got shot, well, you just messed up the whole thing.
Well, I mean, if you're watching WWE Raw, you just have the same match every week.
That's true. This is true. They had a good match, though. I enjoyed the match. I was entertained by it. I wouldn't have a match like that, but it was enjoyable. I give this, though, I will give this show a 5. I thought it was better than WWE. I thought it was a better produced show. I thought it was more entertaining. Jack, what do you think? You've seen it. Rodney didn't see it.
Oh, I agree. I thought the matches were better. I thought the storytelling was a little bit better. My one takeaway is that the thing most people were talking about on the internet the next day didn't even involve the matches per se. It was Cody Rhodes throwing his belt out to the audience and the audience throwing it back.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I would give it a 5 also.
I think they produce a better television program. Out of all the shows that I watched, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, I give AEW the number one spot because I thought it was, and then SmackDown would come after that, and then Raw, then NXT shouldn't even be on television. I'm sorry, that's an embarrassing thing on television for a company like WWE. I mean, they were the excellence in sports entertainment. And now I don't even know if they can put the excellence of sports entertainment in there anymore. I mean, the guys are great.
Well, I mean, they've dropped the excellent.
Great, man,
they've dropped the excellent and the entertainment and sports as well. So they don't have anything left.
Well, before we get off, speaking about NXT, Scotty Too Hottie was one of the main trainers at NXT, and he quit because he just flat out basically said, "Hey, I don't like the way things are being done now, and so I'm out."
I want to talk a little bit about why I think it's very important for professional wrestling to return to cities like it was in the 70s and the 80s. There is not going to be a time, there's still people to this day that talk about Jackie Fargo and the matches he had. There's still people today in Alabama that talk about Bullet Bob Armstrong and the feud with the Tennessee stud Ron Fuller. There's still people to this day that talk about it. But is there going to be, because it's not in that one city, it's not in that one place where they talked about it. The people in Dothan, Alabama didn't talk what happened in Birmingham, Alabama. They talked about what happened in Dothan, Alabama. And when you go and talk to people in Dothan, Alabama, or you talk to people in Chattanooga, they tell you stories about Tojo Yamamoto in Chattanooga. They tell you stories about Jackie Fargo. They even tell you stories about George Goulas. No matter what you might think about him, probably people are going to remember George Goulas before they'll ever remember the wrestlers of today because they're not getting the following. If you think about the territory days and you look back at the territory days, I would imagine 4 to 5 million people a week paid a ticket throughout all the territories to watch professional wrestling. That's a lot of people. And now that's not who watched the TV show. There were probably 15 to 20 million people who watched the television programs that never even went to the wrestling shows. If that doesn't come back, and you do not have a wrestling organization and a wrestling company that runs Chattanooga, Tennessee on a regular basis, it doesn't have to be weekly. It can be monthly. Or Birmingham, Alabama, it doesn't have to be weekly, but monthly. And bring back professional wrestling, because if it keeps on going the route it's going, there's not going to be no semblance of what wrestling was. And we talk about Raw. There's some good wrestlers. It's not that they couldn't do it, but for some reason the management don't know what wrestling is. They have no clue what wrestling is. And it did well because people would react to those people. They were a part of the fabric of these towns. And I truly believe that wrestling's got to return to Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's got to return to Birmingham, Alabama. It's got to return back to these cities, because I'm telling you, if wrestling keeps on going, us old folks are not even going to recognize we're not even going to recognize wrestling. It's going to be nothing like that we remember it being. And I'm going to be honest with you. I remember wrestling too in Superstar. And I remember that when they were ready to come out, I remember that feeling. I remember when Dusty Rhodes was going against Ole Anderson. I remember when Jackie Fargo was going to be in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And the thoughts that I said, man, it's going to be good tonight. Same thing when Ron Fuller would come to Birmingham or go, you always know something's going to happen tonight. Ron Fuller's here tonight. Something's going to happen. It's got to go back to that. Rodney, your thoughts on wrestling needs to come back. Professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, professional wrestling.
Well, you're just preaching to the choir here, my friend, because I've said the same thing. The key, and even their house shows, no matter who you have, no matter what organization, they treat them like it's totally different. Totally different. You never see any footage to it. Nothing happens in them. And that has to change. You think about what was the number one thing? Remember 1989, I think it was. What was the thing? We decided that every event must mean something. Wasn't that one of the we started making criteria, which got heat with everybody. I mean, we were saying we just don't understand. And this was something that I was saying 30 years ago. Every single event must have a point. You must have a goal and you must set out to do it. That's number one. Every match must have a point. It has to have a goal. It has to have a desired result, not just for the sake of having a match, but you must come to a conclusion that you've reached some kind of a success in that match. Make a point of it. Every match, every event means something. All right. We forgot, or wrestling forgot about that a long time ago. They just had the matches for the sake of having matches. No point, no reason, no goal set. Every single match, like we were saying, had to have a goal. Every single event had to have some purpose. And if you don't have a purpose in a match and you don't reach that purpose, you've wasted your time and the fans' time. That's my opinion.
Jack,
But you're absolutely right about the weekly events, because then if you're having to go there more, you're going to have to give the people more. If you went and paid, I understand some of these tickets are $300.
Yeah, I could pay that.
Do you get $300 worth of entertainment? Do you get $300 worth of an experience? Would you pay it again the next week? I would say no. Jack, go ahead.
Well, we have discussed this before about Georgia Championship Wrestling, and what its ultimate downfall was when they started expanding beyond their fan base, and they lost that personal touch that they had in Augusta, and that they had in Macon, and they had in Columbus, and that they had in Atlanta. Right. Ohio and other places became more important to them than being that mom and pop wrestling company that made them what they were. Now, there's nothing wrong with progress, but it's not for everybody to be billionaires. You know, if you've got a great product, concentrate on keeping it great. You know, growth is fine, but once you forget the people who made you what you are, then you're screwing everything up. You know, you're being disrespectful, and that's what they were. They were disrespectful to their fan base. And that's what wrestling in general has become. They're disrespectful to the fan base. They've forgotten us. They don't care about today's product. Doesn't care about us. We're not in their demographic anymore. No. And that's sad, is that some of the programs like AEW's Friday night show, actually their main demographic is age 62. That's me. That means there's a lot of old guys with cigars sitting at home watching that Friday night show that the young people aren't watching anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if you don't touch base, and I think the best shows I've seen from AEW as far as crowd response has been when they were at Daly's place there in Florida for a year and a half. Sure, COVID made them stay there, but they, for a while, were the hometown team. And they packed that place out. They got tremendous response, and they did well. But once they started touring again,
right,
they're doing good, but are they going to keep it up? That's the problem. WWE's not keeping it up.
No.
They're not. They're having to cancel shows. They're going to Atlanta. Was it January 1st? They're in Atlanta. And they were scheduled several months ago and had to cancel it because of poor ticket sales.
So
I think Jack's hit again. Once again, Jack was right, but Georgia wasn't the only one who took it and neglected.
Yeah.
Continental did the exact same thing when they went to Knoxville. They act like the rest of the area didn't even exist. They gave up on it. Well, we could just make money in Knoxville. Thing about it is you can make money in Knoxville, Birmingham, Dothan, and the rest of the places too, if you put the same energy you did in Knoxville in the rest of the towns. All right.
They started running Birmingham like it was a spot show, and they was never going back to it.
Exactly right. And then let's look at what the Crockett's did. They had a great territory, and they left it. I think we talked about it last week, Thanksgiving night, Starrcade. They moved Starrcade from Greensboro to Chicago, I think it was. That was a disaster. Why would you take a tradition that's been in Greensboro Thanksgiving night for years and move it away from there? Thinking that you're going to do bigger business in Chicago? No, you didn't do any bigger business in Chicago. What you did is you alienated your fans in Greensboro that's been supporting for year after year after year in the hopes of getting fans in Chicago, and it didn't work out for you, did it?
Well, I want to tell all the insiders that are watching this right now, coming in 2022, we're going to let you know how you can help bring wrestling back to the cities. So stay tuned. 2022, probably February 2022, you can help make it possible. Let's now talk about the Fabulous Freebirds, part 10 of the Fabulous Freebirds. We have been talking about them for now. If you've not seen it, go to our YouTube channel. You can, it's all up there, one through, and there, I think we threw a couple of extra ones in there as well. Some other stuff that we talked about. We talked about the Junkyard Dog being blinded. By the way, that got us in trouble on YouTube for some reason. They didn't like to be told that he got blinded on there, but it's still on there. They just took it where we can't make any money off that video whatsoever. I don't know why. That happened. I mean, it wasn't like we made this up. But anyway, let's start with the Fabulous Freebirds. We're looking at Fabulous Freebirds part 10. Terry, Gordy, and Michael Hayes make their way to Southeastern Championship. Are we number 9? Are we number 9?
Yeah, part 9.
All right, never mind. Let's start this over. Going in 5. Well, let's go part 9. Honestly, guys, I don't have part 9 up here right now, so maybe we should talk about the top 100, and then we'll come back to that because I don't have that up. Part 10's coming, by the way, for people who don't. So, all right. So let's talk about the top 100 wrestlers. Let's go with that right now. Top 100 wrestlers. I think I missed last week's. Did y'all?
I mentioned your
Kurt Hennig.
Yes.
Perfect, Kurt Hennig. Okay. Number 69 this week is a great professional wrestler. I think he was probably one of the greatest junior heavyweights of all time, and it's Danny Hodge. Yeah. Tremendous wrestler. Danny Hodge, he could beat everybody. We may have to, Jack just told me he didn't have the Freebird thing. And I don't be honest with you, I don't know where it's at. So we may have to come back to that next week. Let's go back to that one next week. Because I really thought we was on number 10. I thought we was on that. I already had number 10 done, so I thought we were on
that person that said that he doesn't have it. That's me. Jack, do you have it?
I've got it.
Well, send it to me. We will do it.
He's probably got 10. You just don't have 9, right?
Yeah, 9 is what I've got.
You got number 9. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now that got me all hot and bothered there.
Okay, because I don't have it. I checked my email. I don't have it.
All right. We'll do. I'll tell you what. We'll do that. We'll do that next week. We don't have to because we're running out. We need to start talking to the people anyway. We'll do that next week. We'll get back to the Freebirds next week. Hey, this is what happens when you do live. When you do it live.
I'm lucky to be on.
I thought we were on 10 to be on.
We were prepared. It just wasn't tonight when we were prepared.
I'll tell you. Thank you, Jack. No, we have it, Brent. I can forward it to you. We can do it. We can do it tonight.
Well, let's do the Freebirds. Yeah, forward it to me real quick. And for some reason, I do not have it. I must have got rid of it. No, here it is. Freebirds Part 10. All right, folks.
Part 9.
What? Part 9? You have Part 10?
I do have Part 10 already done. But we're on Part 9. Yep. So let's go. Let's do this again. All right, folks. Now it's time What?
So
what?
Wait a minute. We were doing the top 100. Now we're jumping to Freebirds now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the Freebirds really quick before we forget what we're doing.
We have overdosed on turkey and dressing, y'all. Just bear with us.
Okay.
Oh man. All right, so let's go to the Freebirds part. And
this show's turning into NXT. I'm gonna tell you.
All right. So now Oh, man. So this is live. This is live, folks. All right. Now let's go. Is everybody ready for the Freebirds thing?
We're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. There. All right. Now we'll talk about the Fabulous Freebirds, Part 9. We'll continue looking at Georgia Championship Wrestling, the Fabulous Freebirds. Jack, pick it up from there.
December the 1st, 1981, Macon Coliseum in Macon, Georgia. Bob Armstrong and Brad Armstrong defeated Terry Gordy and Brian St. John. Then on the 2nd, Municipal Auditorium in Columbus, Big Red and Michael Hayes defeated Terry Gordy and Austin Idol. And then on the 4th, Central High School in Lawrenceville, Georgia, Michael Hayes and Big Red defeated Terry Gordy and the Masked Superstar. Then on the 5th, WTBS Studios in Atlanta, Georgia, Austin Idol and Terry Gordy defeated Rick Benefield and Action Mike Jackson. December the 7th, Bell Auditorium, Augusta, Georgia. Leroy Brown and Big Red defeated Austin Idol and Terry Gordy by disqualification. And then also on the 7th, Bell Auditorium in Augusta, Georgia, Super Destroyer defeated Michael Hayes. Then on the 8th, Tifton High School Gymnasium in Tifton, Georgia, Bob Armstrong and Brad Armstrong defeated Terry Gordy and the French Angel. And at the Municipal Auditorium in Columbus on the 12th, Big Red defeated Terry Gordy by disqualification. And then on the 9th, again, 1981 Municipal Auditorium in Columbus, Tommy Rich and Michael Hayes defeated Masked Superstar and Super Destroyer. Central States Championship Wrestling on the 10th, Memorial Hall in Kansas City, Kansas. Terry Gordy defeated Buzz Tyler. And then Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling on the 11th. Park Golden Gloves Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee. Michael Hayes defeated Terry Gordy in a Texas death match.
By the way, by this time, George Scott is gone. They got rid of him for being the booker. Ole Anderson is back, and Bob Armstrong is the assistant booker at this point in time. On television on December 12th, Austin Idol went against Vinny Valentino. Austin Idol would not let the figure 4 go. Michael Hayes came in. Gordy comes in right after that. They double up on him. And then Bob Armstrong comes to help. And you'll see why. Because in the arenas, Bob Armstrong is going against Terry Gordy many times. Rodney?
Okay, we come up on December the 12th, 1981. Memorial Auditorium in Chattanooga, Tennessee is Bob and Brad Armstrong defeating Terry Gordy and Buzz Sawyer. Back at Memorial Auditorium again on the same night, it's Tommy Rich and Michael Hayes defeating the Masked Superstar and Super Destroyer. Then we go to the Omni in Atlanta on the 13th of December, 1981. Terry Gordy defeats El Grand Apollo. Same night at the Omni, it's Austin Idol defeating Michael Hayes. Bell Auditorium, Augusta, Georgia on December the 14th, 1981. Michael Hayes, Bob Armstrong, and Big Red defeat Terry Gordy, Ray Stevens, and the Super Destroyer. The Coliseum, Gaston, Alabama on December the 18th, 1981. Tommy Rich and Michael Hayes defeat the Masked Superstar and Terry Gordy. Back Memorial Auditorium, Chattanooga, Tennessee on December the 19th, 1981. Michael Hayes defeats Mike Sharp, or we used to call him Rusty Mike Dull. Cobb County Civic Center, December 20th, 1981. Tommy Rich and Michael Hayes defeat Ole Anderson and the Superstar. The Omni on December the 25th, Christmas night, 1981. Jimmy Garvin defeats Terry Gordy by disqualification. Same night, Austin Idol defeats Michael Hayes with 2 referees in that match. December the 26th, 1981, Memorial Auditorium, Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's Bob Armstrong defeating Terry Gordy by disqualification in a lumberjack match. Bell Auditorium, Augusta, Georgia, December the 26th, same day. It's the Super Destroyer defeating Michael Hayes in a Texas death match. Ohio Center in Columbus, Ohio, December the 27th, 1981. Big Red defeats Terry Gordy. Then we go to Memorial Hall in Springfield, Ohio, December the 29th, 1981. It's Brad Armstrong defeating Terry Gordy. Macon Coliseum, December the 30th, 1981. Mr. Wrestling number 2 defeats Terry Gordy by disqualification. January 1st, 1982, the Omni. It's Stan Hansen versus Terry Gordy. It ended without a winner as it was a no contest. Memorial Auditorium, Municipal Auditorium rather, in Columbus, Georgia, on January the 1st, 1982, is Mr. Wrestling number 2 defeating Terry Gordy. And of course, that was the winner, as it was a time limit draw.
Right after, during this point in time on television, I don't know if y'all have seen this. I could not get the clip to come up right, but Michael Hayes comes on television, and his music starts. It plays. He comes out, and evidently he's mad. Okay, he's mad because he says this in his interview, and I will try to insert this if I can get it to play right. But basically what he says in the deal, he says, people out there, they get mad because they don't like my music, which I believe was probably Ole Anderson in the back saying, get your out there and do that interview. I don't care about your music. And I actually censored that. And he comes out and he says, well, people don't like my music. And if they don't like it, they can get that out of my face on television. And Gordon Soley looks at him like, did you just use the F-bomb on television? He does this, and I'm going to try to put this in at this point, and so people can see that it's crazy. It's nuts. By the way, Michael Hayes is not back on television after this. He does still work there, but he does not get to come back on TBS. I mean, if you can't trust him, I don't know why they played it, because this was done on a morning. I don't know why they didn't just put a 30-second commercial or something in there.
Did it beep?
Yes, it did beep.
Okay.
Yes, it did beep it out.
And if you didn't see him on television for a few weeks, that's because the powers that be at TBS said they did not want him back on there.
Very interesting. But he does do this. All right, Jack.
January 2nd, 1982, Memorial Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina for Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Michael Hayes defeated Terry Gordy. And on the 3rd, Cobb Civic Center in Marietta, Georgia, Terry Gordy defeated Leroy Brown. Then on the 3rd, Cobb Civic Center in Marietta, Georgia, Jim Garvin versus Terry Gordy ended without a winner as a double count out. Then on the 4th, at the Hare Arena in Trotwood, Ohio, Terry Gordy and Super Destroyer defeated Michael Hayes and Mr. Wrestling number 2. And then we moved to Ashland, Kentucky, on January the 6th, 1982, Brad Armstrong and Bob Armstrong defeated Ron Bass and Terry Gordy. Then the Civic Center in Charleston, West Virginia on the 7th, Bob Armstrong and Michael Hayes defeated Terry Gordy and Super Destroyer. January the 11th, 1982, for Georgia Championship Wrestling, Memorial Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina, Michael Hayes defeated the Ninja.
Hey, by the way, I think that was Mid-Atlantic Championship.
Yeah, you're right.
I think I wrote that down wrong. All right.
Still with Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, on the 17th, Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina, Michael Hayes and Jimmy Valiant defeated Terry Gordy and Austin Idol. And then at the Township Auditorium in Columbia, South Carolina, on the 19th, Jake Roberts versus Terry Gordy, winner unknown. Then to the Asheville Civic Center in Asheville, North Carolina, on the 31st, Blackjack Mulligan and Ray Stevens defeated Ole Anderson and Terry Gordy. Then we'll back up a few days to the 25th of January 1982. Memorial Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina, the Ninja and Austin Idol defeated Michael Hayes and Ray Stevens.
By the way, during this time, Ole Anderson booking both territories, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling and Georgia Championship Wrestling at the same time. This is the reason you see all the different talent moving from one another. Great idea, by the way. Probably didn't make the talent very happy, but tremendous stuff at this time. You can tell the difference. You can tell the difference in the booking. You can tell Ole's back. Bob Armstrong also has a lot to do with the finishes and stuff that's going on at this time. Tremendous stuff. Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, we know where they're at. Buddy Roberts, I have no clue where he's at during this point in time. I cannot find anything about any matches he's had. I don't know if he was sick. I don't know if he decided to retire during this point in time. But he is nowhere to be seen. And now he could have been booking something. I don't know. But I do not find him anywhere. He does resurface, we know, because he's there at World Class Championship Wrestling. But I don't know where he's at this point in time. But the next one, is part 10. We already have that done. We've established that. If you watched our lives, we've established that we have that number 10 done. Terry Gordy, Michael Hayes, both go to Southeastern Championship Wrestling. And by the way, for those folks who say, oh, they only went there because they were in trouble and they did something wrong and they went, no. They made a lot of money while they were there. And it's a transition to get Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy back as tag team partners and come back to Atlanta. And we'll see all that take place after we see Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy battle each other with some sellout crowds in Dothan, Alabama. And there are video available that you can watch. If you enjoyed this video, give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to the page, go one step further, hit that notification bell, and watch the Fabulous Freebirds playlist right there next to Rodney. It'll help you out there. All right. Now, where was we at now? Okay.
We were 100.
Top 100.
Danny Hodge.
All right. I told everybody top 100. I have Danny Hodge, one of the greatest, probably one of the greatest wrestlers to ever come out of Oklahoma. I would think. I mean, hey, Bill Watts, he had to move over. I don't think he come more. I mean, they still talk about Danny Hodge still to this day. I believe there's an award that you could win in Oklahoma for Danny Hodge. Great amateur wrestler, great professional wrestler, could beat anyone at any time. Beat up Ole Anderson once, and Ole picked him. Said, "Hey, I want that little guy right there. I think I can whip him." And he found out very, very fastly. He said, "That's the only man he made me cry." He said, "The hit man would hurt you and hurt you." All right, Rodney, number 69 on your list.
Number 69, Sputnik Monroe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Tremendous character.
Legendary. So he set standards. Let's just say he set standard, made history. Just a tremendous wrestler. And to this day in Memphis, you'd think it's Lawler and Dundee, but actually it's Sputnik Monroe.
And Billy Wicks. They
That's
still talk about to this day.
That's right.
They sold out the many buildings there and big stadiums.
And of course we got that from Michael St. John. Said it to this day. They're the names people talk about.
Jack, what do you think about Sputnik Monroe?
Sputnik was absolutely fantastic. We did a show on him not too awful long ago, sometime last year. And I think if you'll watch that, if y'all go to our YouTube videos, you'll see the admiration I have from Sputnik Monroe. And I could sit here all night and tell you what a great man he was. Was he perfect? No, but boy, he sure made a difference in his career. So I'll leave it at that. But go watch that video, and I'll certainly get a lot more in depth with him.
Jack, number 69 on your list.
My number 69 is Mexican wrestling legend El Santo.
El Santo. Now, I had Mexican legend Mil Mascaras, or Mil Mascaras, or however you say his name. And Jack gave me some ridicule for that. But I'm not going to ridicule El Santo because I agree with El Santo being a legendary wrestler and being true. I think he did more. I think he did more movies than he did wrestling. How many movies did he do?
He did 52 movies in his career from 1958 until 1982. He passed away in 1984, but he did 52 movies.
Huge star. Even to this day, when I had some El Santo masks and I was selling those, the Spanish people would come there and go, "Oh, that was my hero. El Santo was my hero." And again, we talk about wrestling at that point in time. They still remember those guys before they remember anything else going on. I will agree with that. All right, guys. Rodney, what do you think about El Santo before we move on?
Tremendous wrestler. 52 movies. And it says something when you're selling his mask at a place in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and people come up and say, "I know that mask." That means somewhere down the line, he's made an emotional connection with those people. And that is the key.
We will be going number 68 next week. Top 100 wrestlers. Who is your top 100 wrestler. Who's number 69 on your list? Leave it in the comments and let us know. All right, guys, y'all ready to see what the insiders have got to say? Joel Bateman is with us. Joel, how you doing? Dr. Phil Grimes says, hello, distinguished gentlemen. Well, after this show, I'm not for sure we're going to be distinguished. This was one of those, and all my mistakes. Jason Amundi, hello, everyone. Wendy Harkins is with us as well. Hello, guys. Hope all is well with y'all. It was at the beginning, but the 1 hour mark, something just went wrong. Good evening, gentlemen, from Richard Hood. Stuart Kemp is with us as well. I think the microphone for Rodney was affected by Kevin Sullivan.
I'll tell you, I had a fight since, started Wednesday. The computer just locked up and it was going through, it was going through checking or diagnosing, and it went through that whole loop over and over again. So I had to reset my computer, and I forgot to reset this for tonight. So.
Hey, so I ain't the only one that messed
up. Mine was legitimate messed up. Yours was NXT mess up.
Paul is with us. Paul said hello from
Guelph.
Alabama. Was lucky. Man,
it's not luck when you win.
I'm trying to take my coat off. So if I knock myself off at this point, it's just because I try to take my coat off and it's stuck to my microphone. So if I tear my whole computer down, you'll know that at this point, I just almost gave up. I just thought the show is messed up. I might as well just go with it. Who names their kid Madcap?
Vince.
He just making sure he'll never use that name when he goes elsewhere.
There's a reason. Roman Reigns, most famous wrestler currently. I think I'd probably agree with that. Well, maybe Brock Lesnar. Maybe Brock Lesnar even more than him. Christopher Hughes. Good evening, everyone. It feels good to be able to catch an episode. It's been a while. Good to see you on here. Dennis Mitchell says, I have a question. For all of you, how good, in your opinion, was Sonny King? I liked Sonny King. I thought Sonny King was good in some, but I didn't like him as a manager. Did y'all like him as a manager?
I really had very little experience in seeing him in any capacity.
Rodney, Sonny King.
Sonny was actually the best in Mid-South. I have to give it to him. He was just really good. Tremendous interviews and a lot better, I think, as a wrestler than he was manager.
Mike the Hippie Boy, I don't think I ever watched him ever wrestle.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I never, we were never in a place.
I never did get to see him. Heard a lot of great things about him, though.
Brother Ernest couldn't stand, was a goof. And I had no some bad. Rodney had some really bad things with Brother Ernest.
Brother Ernest.
I remember
Brother
him.
Ernest was a casualty of Ronnie West, ladies and gentlemen. This guy. Let's talk about Missy Hyatt for just a moment, shall we? Missy Hyatt was at the Oxford Civic Center in Oxford, Alabama, and wanted to go to the concession stand and was demanding free stuff from the concession stand that was ran by the building. Now, it doesn't matter if we ran it or whoever, we never give free stuff to the wrestlers or anybody else for that matter, because they seem to run up a bill. But she was out there demanding. Brother Ernest. Now, Missy does not know how to take no for an answer. They'd already had the popcorn set up for the intermission coming up. So she reached in and started throwing the popcorn all over the place. Brother Ernest comes in there, and of course, who's running the concession stand? The manager of the Ozark Civic Center. I might have said Oxford, but it's Ozark Civic Center, Ozark, Alabama. Yeah. So Brother Ernest comes out there and he gets into it. Eddie Gilbert comes out there. He's into it. And so my father gets involved as well. He tells everybody to leave. He suspends Missy Hyatt for a month off of TV. She's not even allowed to come to the show. And he fires Brother Ernest. And and Eddie asked him what, and he said, "She's off TV, and he's fired. Do you have any other questions you'd like to ask?" He said no and went away.
Because he would have probably been next.
We lost the building. We never went back to Ozark, Alabama again because of that. And this is the reason. Yeah, never mind.
I wasn't there. I was still at USA.
It was a terrible ordeal. Dad was furious. He was absolutely furious. And yeah, Mr. Brother Ernest was the casualty. He got fired, and of course, like I said, Missy was off the show and out of the towns for a month.
All right, now David Bias. Good evening, guys. Have a great show. I'll sit back and listen. Pretty good till I'm out.
Jump on in anytime, David.
Release guys. Keep guys. Can't wrestle. This is true. They did release guys that were good.
Amazing.
Get it? Don't get it. How's everyone doing today? We're doing pretty good. I think we speak for everybody's doing pretty good. Brian Young is with us.
Hey,
Brian Young. Hello, guys. Hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. I had a great Thanksgiving. I did. Rodney, have a good Thanksgiving.
Way too much.
Jack, good Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, I'm finally out of turkey, so I'm not really happy about that part.
The Viking Raiders are Avar and Eric.
Ivar and Eric.
Ivar. All right.
It's not Igor. It's Igor.
What in the world did these people do when they were so good? And while they were in NXT, not this 2.0, they should call it the poo-poo wrestling deal, because this stuff's horrible. And they were so good there to be so bad now. It's just a joke now. It's too much comedy.
We talked about that. Me and Britt were texting back and forth, and we were talking about, because I was asking why they do what they do, and we were asking about why would you show any footage from the Survivor Series, because none of it forwards the storylines that are currently going on in either one of the companies. And then Brent mentioned this because that you've got comedy writers right now. They don't know anything. Because you would say you would be pushing people to the network to watch the replay. And he said, well, they're comedy writers. And I didn't realize exactly what he's talking about, because I had not been listening to the show forever. If you turn it off, you lose the comedy in a lot of the instances of it, except where they have the 24/7 title thing, which is a total clown show.
Well, you don't have to take my word for it in a situation. Go to WWE.com, go all the way to the bottom. It may take you 22 minutes to get all the way to the bottom. They just have stuff just keeps on coming up. Go to corporate, go to careers. You'll see writer and see that they want them to have comedy experience, writing comedy. That might be the reason they don't have ratings. They don't have the ratings they used to have, because wrestling is not meant to be a comedy. Sorry, it's just not meant to be one. There could be some humor in it, but not continuous comedy. Good evening from Glen Allen Shelton. David Bice. Guys, what do you think about deathmatch shows? I've seen my first 2 weeks ago in Red Bank. I don't like them. Jack?
It's not my cup of tea. I know a lot of those guys. I love them. There's a fan base for that. That's why you have it. But as for me, it's definitely not my cup of tea or coffee or Coke or Sprite.
Rodney?
Actually, never seen one, so okay.
Well, no, you've seen it. ECW was.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay, no, it was awful.
No, this is the death matches are even more extreme than what ECW.
There's something called the Pit something that came to the TWE Arena. I think it was Jaden Newman, I believe, is the guy that runs that. And they went to some other place and had TWE or something at some kind of inversion circus place. And they actually made a ring that just was had a board on it with barbed wire around it. And you can go and see this. I don't know where. Maybe it's on that TWE website from Red Bank. I did see parts of it, and I'm thinking, why does anybody?
David, what was your experience like?
Let us know what you thought about that. I did see videos from it. Besides Kevin Sullivan, who is Rodney's favorite manager, Kevin Penn?
Oh, I have several because they're all different in their ways. Cornette was always somebody that I always mentioned. Gary Hart, another one. James J. Dillon, another tremendous manager. And I Don Carson, he was great. He was absolutely great. Not so much in Georgia. For whatever reason, they wouldn't let him go full blown. I think in Georgia, they was always, holding him back somewhat. But in other places, he was just awesome. Just awesome.
Michael Barr.
Bobby Heenan. Bobby Heenan, the best out of all of them, though. Bobby Heenan is the best.
Yeah, I agree. Hello from Southeast Alabama, Michael Barr. Richard Hood asked when we're going to have Jerry Oates back on, probably the first of the year. He probably want to come back the first of the year because we're going to take about 3 weeks off for Christmas and New Year's and stuff because we all got stuff we got to do for Christmas and the New Year's. So we're going to take about 3 weeks off and then we'll return. Christopher Hughes. I wasn't watching any modern wrestling, but then my buddy was watching AEW, and it was a few weeks old. But the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega worked with Daniel Bryant, Jungle Boy, and Lucha Lizard or something like that. And it was a top-notch show stiller. Wait a minute. All right. Show stiller. And well, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
So I enjoyed that.
But once you've seen the Young Bucks once, you'll see what I'm saying. You've seen them 1,000 times.
They just signed their contracts, so that they're coming up with some new stuff.
Well, I doubt it. Man, every time I've seen a match of them, they do the same thing. Man, what is that? What's that name?
Rock versus Sacco.
I know, but is that Nish Daily Jawa? Is that how you would say that name? I'm sorry if we messed your name up. I apologize.
NJ works.
NJ, that's what we will call you when we'll call you NJ.
It's not we're trying to be disrespectful. It's just that we're ignorant.
To be honest with you, if you want to see some bad people just destroy names, watch the Andre the Giant video. We destroyed every name on there. It was horrible.
It was.
Wait, y'all still get hammered over Carpentier?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Dana wins the 24/7 belt. Yes, I saw that. I saw she gave the old sunset flip off the top rope, I believe, didn't she?
I believe.
Or is that some other girl? I'm not for sure.
It was Dana. It was Dana Brooke.
Thomas Alexander says WWE sucks. Glenn Allen Shelton says there's a bunch of Z's. I think it's because we were talking about
Commander Aziz.
Hello, guys, from Rick Brooks. Rick, how you doing? Brian Young. Do what I do, Rodney. Watch late 70s wrestling on YouTube instead. You'll feel better. You will lower your blood pressure, cure acid reflux, and make you feel warm and fuzzy until you see new product again.
Brian Young, by the way.
The Wrestler's Wrestler. Available on Amazon. That's why all you have to do, put the Wrestler's Wrestler. It comes right up. It's available.
There's a difference between writing down and taking notes on the matches and just letting it fast forward through.
We used to, when we did reviews, we went way out and talked about it the whole thing, but we found sometimes we just want to forward that match up and just watch the finish. A good match would be Big E and Bobby Lashley. Didn't they have a match?
They did.
It was a pretty decent match. It was inside of a cage, wasn't it?
Yeah. I believe that was the blow off too. They had several matches leading up to that.
Decent matches. I like Bobby Lashley. I think he could be the star from. I don't know why they took the belt off him. Maybe he got hurt. Why didn't Seth Rollins go to jail for breaking into Randy Orton's home and the crime was on tape? It wasn't in the script that he'd be put in jail.
Oh, he didn't break into. Was it Randy's home? No, it was Edge's.
Edge's.
Home.
Yeah, he
Edge's.
Yeah.
And they said that's been done
because nobody wants to go to Randy's home.
Apparently, AEW is at the Gas South Arena in Duluth, Georgia tomorrow night. Guess who's not going? Christopher Hughes, guys, he is summing up why I have not watched WWE in 10 years. Now, some matches are great, but the crap you got to wade through to get there.
Wow. It is amazing. 3 hours of show, 6 matches. All the rest is just jibber jabber.
You'd think they would figure out why their ratings are higher on the YouTube clips than on the actual show.
Yeah.
But I guess not.
WWE, Thomas Alexander said WWE is on the way out. I don't know that they're on the way out, but man, their shows are just, there's no thought process put in them at all. When you go back to the 80s and you see George Scott, who came into the WWF, he developed Jimmy Snuka, he developed Roddy Piper, Ricky Steamboat, and the people that he developed from 83 to 85. And then Pat Patterson and Terry Garvin came in, and I think didn't they book it from wasn't they the bookers from like 85 to 89 to 90? Almost 5 years.
Right.
I mean, Terry Garvin wasn't, because I think Terry Garvin got threw out for being a sicko, but then Pat Patterson took over. But I think Pat Patterson was there for a long period of time as a booker. And then at some point, Jim Cornette comes in there as booker. I'm not for sure what year that was. Him and Vince Russo. That was a bad time. This faction thing needs to get, they need to stop that. All these factions, they need to just be, you can have one, but man, why does every team have to have 22 people?
To me, what Raw looked like is just everybody came in. What are we going to do tonight? I'll just do what we did last week. It'll be fine. And that's what it looked like. It looked like it was just thrown together at the last minute. Really, it does.
Joe Bateman, if the WF keeps firing wrestlers, we'll have any more wrestlers by the next SmackDown.
You're very right. And the thing about it, they have they've had the same talent on Raw for the last, the Mitts was the only thing that was any different, it looks like, this week. But the breath of fresh air for next week for SmackDown is going to be having Brock Lesnar on, because we don't get to see him. He's not overexposed. Everybody else is overexposed. See same people over and over again.
Over the top, last man standing battle royal. By the way, I don't understand why they even had that. They had one on Survivor Series. Why they didn't do it then, I have no clue. I think
they should have a hole in the middle of the ring and slam people out of it.
Did they do that reverse battle royal? They hadn't done that yet. They do that. Never knew they existed. Watched old CCW over the weekend. Great matches and stories. Had a hook. Those guys that were over were way over, but they acted like they cared about staying over with the fans. It seemed like WWE are only concerned about being over with Vince. Probably true. I would think that is true.
Well, at the end of the day, as long as you pop Vince, you got a job.
That's true. That's true. And as long as he's getting people to pay him all those rights that he gets, he's going to be a business. Wrestlers take time out for severe injuries, do an interview, and it all makes no sense. I agree with you, Kevin. It makes no sense. Omos should be called Osmos. He is tall as a tree.
I think we're going to see some really great things from him. I really do.
Kevin Penley said also, yes, Brent, why does every wrestler grunt a growl during interviews? Same interview, different guy. Yes. Number 70, James Storm. Glenn Allen Shelton. He had number 70 was James Storm. But I won't tell you, I'm not for sure I can give that to James. I'm sorry. I think he's got an attitude. I'm sorry. Just think. I don't believe he wants to do a job. That's just.
What?
I believe he wants to go over every time he gets in.
Okay, I see.
Good for him, though. Let's see. Commander Z. Yeah, that's going to be his name now. Everybody's going to come up. Glenn Allen Shelton. If he was trained right, Priest, him and Priest would make a great tag team. Michael Barr, Doo-Doo Drop. Glenn Allen Shelton, as my late mom said, is dead last falling. was more exciting. Yes. Yeah, I don't know who the plopper is. The plopper. I'm not for sure. Is he talking about Dewdrop? Dewdrop?
You're probably right.
Yes, McAfee is horrible. I noticed the commentary was bad. I thought Tony Schiavone on AEW makes the rest of those people sound like all, but they're just out there talking, because Tony Schiavone is really good on AEW. Yeah. I think so.
That the commentary is so horrendous. They are not trying to get what's going on in the ring. They're not even paying attention to what's going on. They're especially Graves and the other guy. I forgot his name now. They're just sitting there arguing with themselves. Apparently, they're thinking maybe that's going to be a big match somebody would like to see down the road. Got some news for you. No, it's not.
MLW watched Hammerstone 5-on-5 was good. Do you know what they're talking about, Jack?
Alexander Hammerstone is the new MLW World Heavyweight Champion. I guess there was a 5-on-5 match that they had. I have not kept up with you for a while. I need to. I think they're just YouTube only right now. I thought they had a deal with Vice, but I can't find the show if it's on.
NJ said excellent. That was a stupid thing. That was absolutely stupid.
You know, it wasn't as
good, though.
Yeah, it wasn't as stupid as what the original plan was. They were going to make the 24/7 title part of that somehow. And I think The Rock actually put his foot down about it and told him no, he didn't want that.
By the way, I watched that movie, Red Notice. A tremendous movie.
Yep.
Now I will tell you, the girl in it, which I believe is that the same girl that played Wonder Woman?
Yep, Gal Gadot.
She is tremendous in this. I think Rock's character anybody could have done, but she was spectacular in this movie. I just thought she was excellent in the movie. Great movie, by the way. If you got that was on Netflix, am I correct?
Yep, and they're already planning not only a sequel but 2 sequels that they're going to film simultaneously.
Well, I'm just going to watch it for her. She just was tremendous in this.
Well, she is Wonder Woman.
Yes, and she's good in this. Man, she was good in this. I'll just say that again. She was good in it. Why is FTR using Midnight Express theme? Is it for Bobby? Yes, I believe that's true, isn't it?
It is. They've had gear made to pay homage to him, and the music was made by my buddy Mikey Ruckus, who does the majority of the music for AEW now. I know he had posted that he had to come up with that theme song for them in like just a few hours' time. So he done a great job on that.
What a tremendous 2 wrestlers.
Yep.
Just money to be made.
The best tag team in the business, period, anywhere.
Yeah, they had tremendous. I thought they were so good. Glen Allen Shelton, best faceless for Vince. He's always wide open. Hey there, pal. And sakes live. Watching the highlights are a lot better. You don't have to listen to everyone running their mouth the whole time, and every one of the interviews are promos. And if you're MJF, just use promos in your thing. Hey, just say it during your whole interview. That's fine. If you notice, CM Punk did. He called them interviews. I don't remember him calling it a promo. I'd rather watch the Briscoes versus the Funks or Steamboat versus Harley Race from back in the day than any of what he just talked about. Some bad stuff. The guys are good, though. The wrestlers themselves are good. They just have no direction. There's no direction there. It's not their fault. Dr. Philbo Grimes said that NXT lost me. Yeah. Rodney, what was you going to say?
I was going to say when the bell rings, it's like their characters disappear and they're just dummies, crash dummies.
Formula-matic wrestling.
Yes.
Everybody does the same stuff.
Exact same match every single time.
Let's
see. Wendy Harkins, the only one on NXT that I like is Usos brothers on the NXT?
Yeah, the youngest one's on there.
Oh, okay. All right. That's right. I seen a video package on him. I seen a bunch of video packages during that. I guess it was NXT. I saw him during. Trevor Lee from Impact, and Jay said, do you know who Trevor Lee is?
Yeah. Gosh, I can't think of his name. He's the one that Vince told him to cut his hair and shave his body hair. He's the one who did the gimmick with the $1 Million Man here not too long ago.
Oh, okay. All right.
Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes.
Cameron Grimes. Okay. All right. Yeah. I just didn't much care for this guy. They just came over as amateurs. Just everything they did to sound, and it's not their fault. They're thinking to themselves, "What in the world are we doing? Why are we?"
Because before he came to NXT, under the WWE umbrella period, I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, it's crazy. Kevin Penley said, Brent, sounds like I'm thinking Jim Cornette on wrestling. Well, I agree with everything Jim Cornette says about professional wrestling, because what he's saying in professional wrestling would be what should be done in pro wrestling. It's not been done, for goodness sakes. You've not done it. When somebody gets some kazonkas and they do something different, that's Vince was able back years ago to do something different. And it's like he doesn't have the guts enough to do it now. It's not like anybody has the guts enough to do something different. And just the first person that does it, the first person that does something different, they're going to be the person that is going to set wrestling world on fire when they do something different. I'm not talking about comedy wrestling. I'm not talking about hardcore wrestling. When you get back and make it a sport, when you took the sport out of it, guess what you did? You took the fans away from it, because they didn't want to. If they wanted to watch comedy, they would have watched Home Improvement. Okay, they wouldn't have tried to watch wrestling. Man, Sex Alive. I just got into another rant right there. Hello, all. Hope everyone had a great holiday. Yes, Sean Richter, NXT LA Knight. I like this LA Knight guy.
Oh, he's great.
He's pretty good. I think they could draw some money with him. Rumor is it Mandy Rose asked to go back down to NXT. Is this true?
I had heard that.
She is an Instagram. I have her on my Instagram. I enjoy her photographs that she sends all the time. I need sheet names. Still be lost. I usually F to the match. I think forward to the matches. I know maybe good on AEW. Other than that, I stick to the classic product. I mean, it's really gotten out of hand. At least AEW has some great wrestling most of the time, and their matches, their TV is better than Vince's TV. It really is. Now they're a long way from being able to beat Vince, but their product is pretty good. If they keep on letting the wrestling fans yell out the F word, they won't have to worry about being on television, because they'll knock them off. I mean, you're going to have to tell the wrestling fans, listen, if you want us to be on here, you're going to have to quit using the F word on TV. Because somebody's going to be turning that channel, and they're going to hear that F word come on that thing. And he says, I want that wrestling took off this network immediately.
I'm going to tell you, though, it's not just with today's wrestling with the language. I tried to watch Nash Bridges. They did a reboot, and I tried to watch the other day. And I lasted about 10 minutes. I'd never heard that much cussing. And I thought, this ain't what made y'all great to begin with.
Oh, they're doing some profanity in it. Yeah, I don't.
Oh, terrible.
There's no need for it. There's no need for it. Glenn Allen said he's selling. Don't care. Oh, I think it's Vince. Yeah, I tell you. Well, the only problem is if NBC buys it, they're going to lose $200 million right off the bat. I mean, really, because you think Fox is going to pay them $200 million? I'm not for sure they would. Could be wrong.
I don't know how that contract's set up. So
yeah, was hoping for a new varsity club. Sean Smith said it was developmental. Yes, you can tell. But you know what? We actually helped book the shows for the developmental for World Championship Wrestling. Those guys are a whole lot better than what these guys are now. Yeah. Jody Hamilton was the guy that trained them all. And you know how Jody would be. He know you'd tell them off if they were horrible. There used to be some twins. Do y'all remember the twins? They were blonde-headed kids, and I thought they would really make some money. I can't remember their names now, but I thought these guys are going to make it because they were pretty good, but I don't know that they'd ever win anywhere. NXT is going to War Games. Yes. That's the reason I didn't like the end of that show. They had to throw up the War Games things all over the place and play the music and all the fighting going on. And I'm thinking, oh. And I'm going to tell you what, these days, we need to start doing this. Jack, we need to get you some music. We need to get Rodney some music. We need to get us some music. And every time we say, Jack, Lord, your music starts. And then we say,
Pop Goes the Weasel again, though, we're going to have a problem.
We need to do the same thing with Rodney. Because today, all you got to say, you don't even have to give it some time. All you got to say, Adam Page, music come on. Whoever the wrestler is, all they have to do. So that guy must be standing there waiting. And he's saying, okay, hit my music. He said my name. Every time a man's name is still. So I wouldn't even use their name. I would say that guy's name, but I know that music's going to hit. And somebody's going to come out here. And I don't want to talk to them today. So I'm not even going to use their name. But y'all know who I'm going to wrestle against at the next pay-per-view. It is two formula. The formula is just AEW Dark. I've not watched any of those. Have y'all watched any of the Dark or Elevation or any of those? No, I don't. There's too much right now. How could I watch that? Supposedly AEW received a contract extension with the tournament. I think they did 3 years. I think it was like $170 million or something for those 3 years. That's. I would, Turner give me $107 million. I'd produce a show for him as well. So the CM Punk MJF segment lasted over 20 minutes. Jack said it was 22 minutes.
22 minutes. Yep.
Sean Smith said AEW has disgruntled ex-WWE talent. There is some truth to that. I didn't think nothing about that, but that is true.
Honestly, if any of them were smart, they would change the dynamic there and get on there and talk about how great Vince is. Now, if I don't get you heat there, I don't know what would.
That's true. Glenn Allen, New is wearing off. Run its course. Khan has brains. Need use them to write the show. Tony Khan is running out of ideas from Dusty's book of booking.
If he only had Dusty's book of booking.
I did notice that their shows are formulated as well. A lot of backstage interviews, a lot of fights, a lot of that stuff does not get over. Nobody cares. It can be done one time a year, but the rest of the time there should just be interviews. If they're going to do interviews, let them do interviews. Let's stop all the fighting and the slapping and because if that happened too much and this was legitimate and you were trying to make this legitimate, you start fining people for doing that. If football did that, they'd be fining and suspending some people for that, and they'd stop it. My opinion, professional wrestling was much better in the 80s and 90s than now. I agree with you on that. Sean Smith said QT, who now is he the one, Jack, that runs the wrestling school?
Yep, he is. He's a great guy.
Sean Smith, Billy Gunn is a giant in AEW.
6'5". He's actually taller than I am.
Mickey Mayfield, I'm going with Jack's ideal. AEW should hire Dutch Mantel to run the show. I agree with you. Tony Khan needs to get out of it. And they need to really sit down and have long-term knowing what they're going to do with people and not change it from week to week. Tony Khan needs to quit listening to Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega.
I don't think they have the input anymore.
I don't think they do either.
From my understanding, Tony is doing all this himself, which, it's admirable, except you're $1 million company and you need to have some people around you that have done this before and knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin Penley says, I don't think they can put up a wrestling ring there without a kendo stick.
Which show is he talking about? All of them, dude.
All of them.
Luchasaurus. That was it. That guy's horrible, by the way. He's just horrible. And he's been wrestling a long time, and he's not improved whatsoever. Billy Gunn and I were both trained by Golden Boy Jerry Gray. Yeah, old Jerry Gray. I like old Jerry Gray. At the same time, from How you say that name?
Eustace.
Eustis, Florida.
Yep.
Had a lot of fun with Kip. Glenn Allen Shelton, Daddy going to quit giving him money. Let it run itself. It probably will eventually happen. Let's see. Punk and Danielson versus Jobbers. Good. Jason Mundy. With all its faults, and there are many, AEW is better to watch than anything WWF is doing. I think that's true. I think there's
agree with that.
I would really say
my question is it the in-ring product, or is it the credibility that Tony Schiavone brings to the table?
Well, even Jim Ross kind of brought it. He's gone right now. I think we need to pray for him. He's going through some.
He had the first of his chemo the other day, and he's got 20 more rounds to go.
Yeah, so we all need to pray for him. Jim Ross always a nice guy. What's sad, he's got talent there, put on a heck of a show, but ego's getting in the way, and it will happen. Let's make no bones about it.
Yeah, I don't think AEW has much of an ego issue. Not with their general locker room. They don't. I think those guys are happy to be there. They're making good money. The atmosphere is more relaxed. I hear that from everybody. So, egos will always come in if you allow egos to come in.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to let them because Tony Khan is the only one going with having ego. He's not going to be able to live to that standard. Continental Championship Wrestling is a 10 for me. Yes, I will agree with you. It does now. There was a time as it got later that 10 when I went down to a 3. So later in the years, we'll talk about that one day. Scotty did the worm on his way. Guys, do you think today's promoters could do weekly shows like from the past? Not these promoters, no, because I don't think they know how. I don't think they do. I don't think they understand what made wrestling people watch it.
Obviously, wait.
I think weekly shows could work from the independent level if they're done right, and you have the funding behind it to do it, whether it be weekly or monthly. If you get out and get in those communities and get that community involvement, that's what's missing. If you've got Chattanooga running, then if you're running that once a month, then you've got plenty of other dates to add of Birmingham, Huntsville, or wherever else you might want to do. But don't neglect Chattanooga if Knoxville starts drawing better for you. Keep putting your money into Chattanooga.
Yeah, and it can draw, folks.
Yeah.
Professional wrestling on a regular basis can draw. You have to have the marketing. He must have marketing. You cannot run independent wrestling shows. Try to run a show, and the only people they want to tell about it's themselves. You have to let the people know it's there. So you have to spend money to let the people. Marketing is the most important. It may be more important than the actual wrestling show.
Yeah.
And that's what's been missing in any independent wrestling is they don't do the marketing that has to be done and it costs a lot of money to let people know it's there. But once you've done it, once the fans are there, they're loyal and they'll stay with you.
Yep.
And that's, they've always, Inoki, Harley Race, Bobo Brazil, great wrestlers. Joel Bateman, I miss the territorial days of wrestling. I do as well, especially the 70s. The 70s, I think, was the greatest territorial wrestling time. So, because I grew up in the 70s, so I thought that was a tremendous. If you think about it, by the late 80s, they started doing stupid stuff. Even the territories did stupid stuff. Yeah, we could go through and just talk about the stupid stuff they did that made no sense. I have people tell me all the time I love wrestling back in the 70s and early 80s when it was real.
Wow, I've heard that too. I've had that too.
I've said many times the biggest compliment I ever got at any time was when people would wait till after the show to get an autograph or just talk to me for a minute. Because if you didn't hang around when I was a heel, you didn't see me because I didn't go out to carouse with nobody. Yeah. But they would come out and they would just that simple statement of, "Look, I know wrestling ain't real, but you really hurt them guys."
Yeah.
So at least I knew I was doing my job right.
That's that's what they always used to say about Ole Anderson. That you could hear the fans say, now all that other stuff. But boy, now we're going to see some real. This is some real wrestling because Ole made you believe it because the opponent believed it. Pro wrestling was captivating back in the day. Yes, it was. Christopher Hughes, that's a big thumbs up for Brent. Sean Smith, I blame Crockett for the demise, basically, of putting the NWA into the ground. I don't think he can go to nobody but him. Yep. We all love Dusty Rhodes, but he was there way too long as Booker. Way too long. 2 years is about as much as a Booker can really a year. But 2 years, and I think he was there longer than that, wasn't he? Wasn't he there for about 4 years before, and business was just kept on going down? Yeah. I miss Ivan Koloff, Bobby Eaton, the Von Erichs, the Freebirds, Kurt Hennig, Nick Bockwinkel. Yes, I do. I miss all those people. Wrestling needs to get back to its roots. It's forgotten where it came from. It needs to get personal. The feuds need to have a goal and reason, a build-up and a blow-off.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what we're missing in professional wrestling. Dr. Phil Bulgrice, pre-COVID, a group in Dothan was having some success reviving the territory, but they seem to be struggling with character development because some people don't know how. They believe that the character development sometimes is in comedy or it's in the interview, and sometimes it does have a lot to do with the interview, but you can't just have that. The guy still has to be good. The guy still has to be able to get in that ring and wrestle. Because eventually Ox Baker could do a good interview, but he would kill your territory after a while. I mean, he was not good. I mean, now he might have been pre that, but when we watched him, he was horrible. Jack, they only care about entertaining themselves. Yeah, most of the territory promoters wasn't good business people. The ones from the 50s, 60s, and 70s were. But somewhere in the 80s, when there was a couple of new people, when Jim Crockett Sr. died and Jim Crockett Jr. took over, he wasn't as good as a businessman for some reason. My Graham was not the businessman Eddie Graham was. Just unfortunately, he wasn't. Ron Fuller was not the businessman that Roy Welch was. It just wasn't. People can say whatever they want to about Nick Goulas, but Nick Goulas was around from the 1950s till 1981. I think that's when he sold the territory. That's a long time to be in a professional wrestling business and make the money that he had. I just think that second group of people, they just had something. They just missed something, and maybe they didn't need the money. Maybe they didn't care. I'm not for sure what happened. Are they? Who knows? Who knows what we could probably say, but we don't want to make everybody mad at us. So, look, payday, not product now. Yes, it's all about a great payday. We take some of those paydays if somebody wants to pay us. I mean, we won't turn down cash. AEW keeps going to the big wrestling towns east of Chicago. I noticed this.
Yep.
You'd think they're a Chicago promotion. They're so often. I noticed that as well. I think it's because CM Punk gets all that publicity there.
He does.
Jason Mundy, Rodney, you're 100% right about Crockett moving Starrcade away from Greensboro. That was one of the biggest blunders of all time. You don't break the traditions. You just don't do it.
Christopher Hughes, nowadays these kids just do spots. They play the crowd and get an applause. Then the next spot. You don't get invested. I haven't been on the edge of my seat watching wrestling in years. They've missed that. And you know what's so funny? Vince knows it. That's what gets you on there. He knows it. Number 69, I always mess this name up.
Pampero Firpo.
I'm good at not messing up names. Yes, I never saw the guy. But evidently huge.
Wild Bull of the Pampas or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that somebody said he was the first something. Somebody said, and I never realized it until I started looking in on them. My favorite tag team, the Freebirds. My favorite wrestler, Terry Gordy, and Mr. Perfect should be in the top 5. My number 69 is Crazy Lou Graham. Number 70, because I missed last week, the Mighty Igor.
Two good ones.
Yeah. I mean, Mighty Igor I always enjoyed. I don't know why.
Brian, don't call him crazy.
That's right. You get upset about that.
Don't ever call me crazy.
Yes. Denny
Luke
Hodge.
Graham's daughter actually listens in on the show from time to time.
Denny Hodge was MMA before it existed, a true great shooter. Yes, Jason, you are correct about that. Richard Hood, number 69, the great Muda. I'll agree with that. Nikita Koloff, number 69 from Joel Bateman. Charles Bellflower says number 70, Jerry Briscoe, number 69, Ray Stevens. Ray Stevens, tremendous. Jerry Briscoe's tremendous.
Oh,
right?
shit.
Paul Lindstrom, I guess that's how you say it. I'd sure have liked to see Danny Hodge get his hands on you clowns. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate that. Yeah, I don't think I'd even worried about him. Number 69, Jimmy Garvin, Glenn Allen Shelton, Wendy Harkins, Nope Rodney. The show was better than NXT and WWE combined. Wow. If tonight's show was on TV, I would change the channel. Freebirds liked their hair cream. Yes, they did. They blinded Junkyard Dog twice. Jason Mundy, who was Big Red. I don't know if we can explain who Big Red is. You can go to YouTube and see a bunch of videos of Big Red.
I'll tell you, Big Red was a big man with a big personality. He was and moved quite good for a big man.
He started wrestling in the late 70s, didn't he?
I believe that's right.
He came to Atlanta. He got over in Atlanta. I had to give him that. He got over once he was there for a period of time. He got over. My number 69 is Pork Chop Cash.
Yeah,
great man, by the way, Pork Chop Cash. He tried to help me gain weight back in what year was that, Rodney? It was 1987, I think, when we lived in Kansas City. We would go up and work out, and he was trying to say the F-bomb in 1982. Lucky he ever worked again, period. Can you imagine if it was once? Yeah, I don't understand why he did that. I don't. Well, yeah, it's Michael Hayes. That's the reason I can't believe he still worked WWE. I miss Jimmy Valiant. Yeah, the Boogie Woogie man, Jimmy Valiant. Van Allen, I thought he was Blondes in California.
He was still in the Blondes, California, or whatever that was, the Blondes. He's talking about Buddy Roberts.
Hollywood Blondes.
I don't think he was. When did he leave that
Atlanta?
That was mid-70s, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he was way away from him by then. Wasn't Buddy Roberts down Florida as a Blondes? He might have been. I'm not for sure. This would have been 1981, 82. So I can't find him anywhere. If somebody can find him, that'd be great. But I can't find any matches that he had, period, during that point in time. I don't know. Get well to Jim Ross. Yes, we like Jim Ross, great guy. Harley Race said Danny Hodge was the toughest man he ever met. And that's from Harley Race, which was a tough man. Think so, 1982 late. Hello, everyone, from Victor Nash. Hello, everyone. Hope all had a great Thanksgiving. Yes, we did. It's hard to make the connection when there's 40,000 plus in the place. Need to get back to gyms, armories, and small venues. We always like the smaller venues. I think it's the reason we didn't like the Omni as much. It was just you were just too far away from the action. But when you come back to Atlanta and you was right there, you could almost just feel the punches and watch the sweat come out of them. That was what made it. Get well, son, from Jim Duggan. I think he is doing well. I think he is doing well. So Jim Duggan, another great guy, by the way. We always had a good time with Jim Duggan. Sonny King was good in Florida with Pac Song. Eric the Red against Dusty. Awesome feud. Happy birthday to Dirty Dutch Mantell. I think it was last week sometime, wasn't it?
No, it's I believe today. Jerry Lawler also.
Jerry Lawler, and I guess that Dana.
They're the same age, born on the same day.
What number were we on tonight? We were on 69, correct? 69. Right. Well, Glenn Allen told him that. So my number 69 is Adrian Adonis. Victor Nash. Adrian Adonis, tremendous wrestler. David Bice says it's something you need to see once. So evidently he ain't going to go back when they come back to that. By the way, he's talking about death matches, by the way.
Okay.
wasn't the guy blew out both knees during a death match? Yes, he did. But now, yeah, all he did was jump off the ropes. That's all he did. It wasn't in a match. It was from the beginning of the match, and he stood on the top of the deal, jumped off, and somehow both his legs just broke. Now, how that happens, I don't know. It's on YouTube. It's a death match of the thing. I don't know how.
There's that Vice Dark Side of the Ring episode on that death match guy, and I can't think of his name right now. Don't remind me because I don't care. But in the story, it talks about how he, I believe, nicked an artery in his arm and almost bled to death, and tried to get him to tape him up so he could go back and finish the match.
Oh man, that's crazy. Christopher Hughes said, "I agree, Bobby Heenan was the best." All right, we are running out of time. We want to thank everybody for being a part of our show, and we will be back next week. We're gonna look at the Fabulous Freebirds once again, part 10 this time. Well, actually, really will be part 10,
and we're ready.
We already have it ready. It's
Christopher. Dad didn't complain about his wrestling attire, but he had a referee in. He was happy to be there.
Yes, that's what he dreamed to always do in professional wrestling, and he loved it. And we miss it. We miss professional wrestling. There is no professional wrestling left. Maybe on the independent scene there are some professional wrestling left, but just hot spots now. There's no professional wrestling about it. So next week, though, we'll also talk about Superstar Bill Dundee. We're going to look back at his career a little bit and see when he started, and talk about him a little bit as well next week. And we may or may not talk about AEW or WWF. Something good may happen. I doubt it, but something good may happen that we want to talk about. Jack, anything you would like to talk to the people about before we leave?
No, just hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Holidays are coming up. Y'all be safe. Have a great holidays. We still got a few more episodes, so be back with us next Tuesday.
Yes, we will. I think we got 2 more weeks, and then we're going to take off for about 3 weeks, and we'll be doing a bunch of Christmas stuff. I'm going to go on a cruise. I'm going to be gone for about 10 days.
Yes, we hear that over and over again. I'll be on the cruise. I'll be eating all of these restaurants. I'm going on a cruise.
I shall be cruising in my living room watching football with a cigar.
Rodney, anything you'd like to say?
I'd remind you about the big event coming up in Barnesville. I believe it is in Barnesville, Georgia.
This
Sunday, 3 p.m. I'm anxious to see about that 5-minute match. That would be interesting to see. That was tournament, battle royal, extravaganza, Barnesville.
By the way, for those of you who have supported our channel and you would like to support our channel, it's very easy. You just go to Facebook. It says support the channel. We have I did this week. We will be telling somebody at the first of the year of how it's going to be a little different if you support the channel. We have some stuff to talk to you about it when you support the channel. Something we worked on, and we'll let everybody know at the first of the year. Thank you all so much. We certainly do appreciate it. We want to thank everybody for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. We hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see everyone next week right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out.